from City Fan TV, and we have Bernard in the house. How you doing, Bernard?
I'm fine, Ray. Thank you. How are you guys?
Hope everybody's well.
All recovered from the other day.
I'm still knackered, mate. Still knackered, so I'm just clean my screen. Just long trip down to Norwich, about 4 hours on mostly country roads, and when you get behind a truck or a caravan, you can actually be stuck for many miles. But it is what it is. We got there, and it's a long way to go.
Yeah, it's not the going down, is it? It's the coming back. I remember going to Ipswich and Norwich in the 70s and coming back on that coach that we left at midnight the night before. Coming back on that coach when we got beat 1-0 by Ipswich, particularly, so depressing. Right. It's absolutely a nightmare.
Well, I'll give the introduction, guys. This is week 5 of our Premier League review. Obviously, one game tonight, the Claret and Blue Derby. I think it is, isn't it? And but we're going to roll on to Monday. We can't leave it till Tuesday because we've got Shakhtar on Wednesday. It's too much if you leave it like that. You're waiting too long. So we're going to get cracking. We'll talk about, obviously, the aim of this episode is to talk about City for maybe 2/3 of the show. And then the last 10 minutes, we'll just briefly go through some of the other games. And I was saying to Bernard beforehand, we could spend a long time, a lot more than we've got to talk about City. So much going on. Just turn my phone off. Don't get many calls, so I always leave it on. So let's get cracking. City. We went down to Norwich. Norwich had been spanked by Liverpool 4-1. They'd been beaten by Chelsea 3-2. They'd been beaten by West Ham when they were poor. And so it was just, a nice trip down to Norwich. Bang, bang, bang. Pick up 3 points and come back.
We've got some good memories, haven't we? We've got some good recent memories of Norwich.
Yeah. I mean, if you were writing a normal bog standard script for a bog standard movie, you say that's what happens, isn't it, Bernard? That's what happens. Absolutely. We should be going to Carrow Road and we should be walking away with 3 points, but it didn't happen. So there's a twist in that tale. There's a twist somewhere. So can I put it as simply as what went wrong?
I mean, I think the real disappointment for me was I thought Norwich played okay. But the real disappointment for me is they didn't even need to play that well to win the game. I thought we were absolutely terrible. We were so lethargic. And usually we get a kick up the backside at half time. But the second half, because we suffered that goal so quick, there's no one to pull us up by the bootstraps, as they say, and get us going. It was just, I don't think Norwich, all credit to Norwich, but in all fairness, they didn't have much to beat.
Yeah,
absolutely shocking.
We're going to do this in a funny way because we're going to talk about a bit at the beginning of the second half first. But the beginning of the second half, I felt Norwich were really, really playing with 5 at the back. They were going to defend very deep. And then we said, come on, Norwich. It looked like we were going to, I thought we were going to steamroller them. The way they were defending, it was like, within the first minute or two, we are going to score here. This is what their manager, David Farke, had said the day before. He doesn't want to play like that. If you play like that, you'll get beat. And that's how they were playing. And I thought, happy days. We're going to, come back here. And very quickly we said, Norwich, we haven't, we've come from afar. We've come with gifts. It's coming up to Christmas, guys. And here's some, presents for you. But let's do it properly. Let's go back to the start of the game. You're right. We didn't look at it, did we?
No, I mean, it was, we didn't really have a chance until they'd scored the first goal. I mean, just the first chance I made it all was a shot from Sterling after 20 minutes, which was a couple of minutes after they'd gone ahead. So it's terrible. We've seen lethargic starts before, but this was even worse.
Well, the thing is, I mean, for me anyway, not starting with KDB, huge. That was huge.
Well, it was only one play. It was one player, but that one player was just totally affected how we started that game.
That one player, not only is he one of the best players in the world, and not only is he going to put in wonderful crosses and create opportunities and help to dictate the game, but he's that kind of personality when things are going wrong. Now that Vinny's left, he's the kind of guy that I said should have been captain. He's the kind of guy that will drag people along with him and kick people if he needs to. And that's what I thought Vinny was perfect for. And I thought KDB would do the same. David Silva as captain, can you imagine him going to kick someone's backside and saying, pull your finger out? I just can't do it.
I said before the season started, everyone was saying, obviously, it's David Silva's last season, he's going to be captain. But I said, no, if KDB's on the pitch, he's got to be captain anyway, because David Silva isn't that. You know, it's nice being nice about people, but we've just lost Vincent Kompany, for God's sake. So, you know, let's not be stupid about it. Let's not be naive and, we'll do the nice thing. It's not a matter about doing the nice things. We've got a league to win. We've got games to win.
Sometimes in sport, there's no room for sentimentality.
That's it.
You can't do it. You can't do it. Romantic ideas and notions of David Silva's last season leading us to glory. It's either guts or glory, isn't it? And we saw plenty of our guts laid bare on Saturday evening. My personal opinion, I've said this, we've not played brilliantly this season, apart from against Spurs. Other games, we've been like this, and we've relied on moments of brilliance. You know, maybe it's my view is too simplistic, and they're playing on a tactical level that I just can't comprehend. But my honest opinion is we're playing at an average level, and then suddenly we're having some moments of superb play, and bang, 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 we score a goal, and that gets us ahead. And then we play a lot of keep ball, and then maybe bang, 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 score another goal. But it's not, apart from Spurs, consistent pressure applied by City.
I mean, the actual, if you think about it, if I'd have been a Norwich fan or even a Norwich player, and I'd be wondering what was going on. And to claw our way back into it, which we did. I mean, it was all set up for a classic second half, and that didn't happen either. So,
I mean,
there's no explanation. But KDB not being in the starting lineup. Pep's already got an eye on the Champions League. This is the problem now. That's at the back of his mind now, and it always affects Pep and what he does with City when this Champions League comes along. So we have to put up with that, and we have to go with his genius and hope he can sort things out, obviously.
One of his arguments apparently was that, you know, KDB's just back from injury. He's played for Belgium twice. You don't want to risk it. Other players have come back, played too much, got injured. And I think he mentioned a couple, but he doesn't want to go down that route with KDB. Obviously, suffered a lot with injury last season. But we're going to be playing every 3 or 4 days now.
Well,
and I don't know. And if that's your argument, how can we as fans argue against it? If Pep's going to say, look, he's not ready for a full 90 minutes. I wanted him as an impact sub for 20, 25 minutes at the end, which is what he did. There was some impact, but not as much as we required. So let's look at those 2 goals. Let's look at their 2 first half goals. Corner.
Yeah, well, nothing had happened. Nothing basically had happened for 18 minutes. Yeah. And you like me and every City fan now, heart must sink when we get a free kick in and around the box or a corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just go, oh no, you know, that's my initial thing. But it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable with these things at the near post happen time and time again. I'm sorry, I don't know who's in charge of the defensive tactics. Or Pep's the manager; he takes over all responsibility. Yeah. But we must have a defensive coach who actually, you know. I mean, we've got 3 or 4 big lads. The 3 or 4 big lads should be strategically placed, not this stupid zonal marking anyway. Strategically placed to cut out these sort of things.
I agree with the zonal marking. I don't like it, but it's what it is. He's not going to change. And as Colin Savage said to me last night, why do you have our smallest man on the pitch in Raheem Sterling in one of the most dangerous spots on the near post?
He was clueless. He run towards it. It was way over his head, and he'd run towards it. He had no idea. He has no perception of where the ball is. So what is the point of having him there?
Well, there's no point if the guy's 5'7" tall and the guy who's steaming in is 6 foot.
Yeah.
So the guy steaming in has already got 5 inches on you as well, and he's got the run on you, and he's got the leap on you. You've got no chance.
In zonal marking, as you say, if you've got 3 or 4 players, surely you can have a big player at the front, 2 big players on in the middle, and one at the back. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Around that near post, we must have had at least 4 players, and one guy comes in, bang, go against Spurs. Lucas Moura, He's 5'9". He's 5'9". At least
It's unforgivable.
at least McLean's 6 foot tall, but Moura's 5'9". How can he be winning balls at the near post? It's just, you're right. It is unforgivable, but it's happening again and again and again. Pep says we practice corners. We practice this all the time, almost every day. Well, there's a job there surely for somebody who can do it right, because this ain't right. What we're doing is wrong. It's not working. We're getting caught out again and again. Spurs Champions League last season, near post header, Edison come out. Well, I think that I blame Edison for that as well. If you're coming out, you've got to make sure you get the ball and not let somebody else get it in front of you. But if before Norwich, 4 out of our previous 9 goals conceded in the league were from corners. So something's going wrong, and another 4 were from free kicks or dead ball situations. Teams are not scoring too much from open play.
I think did they say a match that out of 29 set pieces we've conceded from 16 or something like that, which is absolutely ridiculous.
It is terrible. So that was that first goal. Second goal, breakaway.
It stung us into a bit of action, didn't we? We hit the post, obviously. Aguero, perhaps it was a difficult one, but he perhaps could have done a little bit better with that. And then, obviously, a minute after that, they went 2-0 up. Another absolute, I don't know what Mr. Walker was doing. I have no idea.
It's a combination. I think it's a combination all over the pitch where Rodri let his man go. And I've said this before, Fernandinho would have fouled him. As soon as the guy had gone and knocked it over his head and it was running, Fernandinho would have blocked. He might have even... He's that aware of what's going on. He would have probably blocked him and given an indirect free kick away just by not body. What's the right word? There's not many indirect free kicks you can get these days, but just by impeding him, rather than
because all the play was condensed in their half. Every single player literally was in their half. So I mean,
that was it.
It was just.
Fernandinho would have obstructed him. Fernandinho would either have obstructed him and not even got a yellow card, or if the guy was a bit, if Fernandinho was slightly too late, he'd have tugged him back and taken the yellow card. Rodri didn't do that. And then Rodri started to run back, realised he had no chance of catching anybody, and then just went down to a jog. And for me, that is criminal. That is unforgivable.
I mean, Walker couldn't. I mean, Walker, I would his decision making, Walker, obviously he could see what was going to go on. I mean, personally, I would have sort of stood nearer the guy who scored and let this other guy have a shot and Edison take his chance, because once he committed himself, there was absolutely no way Campbell was going to miss it.
The problem is it's what I said on the Ball from the Blue podcast. What do you do? If Walker stays there and marks Cantwell and Timo Pukki has a shot and scores, people say, well, Walker, why didn't you get over there? You could have got...
He has to somehow sort of work the two, and it probably didn't make quite the right decision, but it was a loss. It was such an awful decision to make.
It was a hard decision, but he needed one of his other defenders to basically foul Pukki.
But as you said, there was no one anywhere near coming back to help. That was the problem, wasn't it? You said Rodri had give up on it, and there was no one absolutely with any pace. I mean, you're not going to get Gundogan running, sprinting back here, let's be honest about it. There's nobody with any pace whatsoever could come back and help, and we're just so lacking.
Yeah, I mean, but I give them credit. I give Pukki credit for waiting till draw, because I thought that Pukki was going to shoot. I thought where we were in the ground, I thought, well, no one's going to catch him. And
if that had been Aguero, he probably would have had a shot. He probably might not have put it across. Yeah. All credit to Pukki, who's obviously a good goal scorer. All credit to him. He did the right thing.
Well aware. Yeah. He was very well aware. And I thought he just waited for Walker to make that decision.
Yeah.
And he just held a fraction. So
if you make your opponents make the decision, whether you're a goalkeeper or a striker, if you make your opponent, it makes it so much easier. And that's clever football. Very clever.
Once Walker was committed to trying to block him, then the pass was on. And it's just, look, you can't take anything away from them. They had the chances and they took them, and credit to them. We had our chances and we blew them, a lot of them. So we got a goal back just before half time. We'd seen that Sterling wasn't having his success out wide. they were nullifying our wingers. We're very well placed them because they were not letting us get to the byline and having a free, easy cross for a tap in or to the penalty spot for someone to steam in and slam it home. And Sterling had swapped places with Bernardo Silva because he just wasn't getting any luck. And it was Bernardo Silva's cross that.
I mean, he did obviously, as you say, because when he did it on replay, I hadn't noticed the switch. I hadn't noticed Sterling because I said to my Sterling, that was not a bad cross from Sterling. He said, "Oh, Bernardo." I hadn't noticed he'd swapped but it obviously worked. And a fantastic take and goal. I mean, that is Aguero. He's not notable for his prowess in the air, but he's a cracking header of a ball.
Yeah, you give him space and time, he'll do well in the air.
Absolutely.
And then
that was good. That was it. That set it up, didn't it? I mean, I thought, second half, we can win this 4-2, which was my prediction originally.
I did a halftime review, which didn't go out till we were at the car park because there's absolutely no signal there. I had to go across the road to the Morrisons to get some Wi-Fi to be able to actually send. Even before G couldn't do anything. And I said, they will score again. I could see them scoring again because we were shambles all over the shop. And in the second half, we give Pukki a chance. I think he rob John Stones, and then he bobbled a shot wide.
Yeah, well, that was like a minute, wasn't it? Literally a minute before the goal.
It was the action before the goal because from that goal kick, we decided that, I think...
obviously Otamendi sold John Stones short. One thing that worries me about John Stones, I always think... I do, when you play football and you do silly things, but you try and remain cool about it, even though you know it's going wrong. Now, I always get that impression with John Stones, that he knows it's going to go wrong, but rather than panic and speed up, and do something, just welly it, he tries to look calm and controlled, and this is exactly the thing that happened. He just looked as though he was a little bit slow getting to it and to allow Pukki to get in on it. But that's my impression of John Stones. I might be totally wrong, but he wants him to be cool and calm, and sometimes you just have to put your foot through it.
Yeah, I mean, if people generally like to apportion blame, so for their third goal, who are you going to blame? Is it down to one person? Or just down to collective brain farts?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're not. The whole game the pace was terrible, and in defence, when we knock it around at the back with Ederson, we knock it about well, don't we? We do it at pace. We don't do it slow like some. I saw Arsenal get stung yesterday because it was so lethargic and we don't do. We zip it about. We're confident level, but the lethargic pace in midfield, the lethargic pace up front, went back to the defenders as well. They were lethargic, so. I'm only going to blame Otamendi. I'm not going to blame collective. I think at the end of the day, we're doing what we normally do. And I'm sorry, Otamendi should have been well aware of what was going on. He didn't need a shout. He should have known what was going on. I mean, I love the general, but obviously he's a bit more of a private today, unfortunately, with that one.
The thing is, I mean, Norwich, they played their game. They set up right. They knew what they were doing, trying to, make that move at the right moment when Otamendi, who had his back, you can't have your back to play to the.
That's not how we play. Pep has them playing where they know what's going on around them. He has them side on, doesn't he? Yeah,
side on. And it looked like he looked over his shoulder, saw where the guy was, and then turned his back on him. And has he got cloth ears or something? Because that guy
perhaps he should have had bells on his socks or something to tell him he was coming. Perhaps he had a bell around his neck or something.
Surely you must be able to hear someone running, sprinting to, and yeah, I mean, look, that was 3-1. We were putting a ton of crosses in that were just a waste of time. And I looked at some stats, and there's a few games where we've done pretty poorly, where we're just pumping balls into the box for nobody.
There was nothing. I mean, the next comment I wrote down on a bit of paper was 87 minutes when Rodri scored. That was the next thing that happened. Really,
we had a couple of headers that Aguero put over the bar, where I think he should have got at least one down into the ground and on target. Then we got the Rodri goal, which was a decent shot, decent strike from just outside the box. First goal for City, but it was a losing cause. Other stats, I think it was Zinchenko's first defeat in a league game for City. It was my lad's first, it was 12 years old now, his first time he's been to watch City live and watch them lose. So he's been spoilt in the past, but I mean,
there's no urgency, was there? We went 3-1 down. The actual there's no one G'ing the lads up. Even Pep was, I think, quiet. I mean, they didn't show much of him on the telly. Obviously, he didn't look as though he's in his box, sort of, shouting and jeering or anything. Pep does this sometimes. Sometimes when we're losing a game, he seems to give up to me. He just puts his subs on and that's it. He just accepts it for what it is. And I think that was one of those days where he just thought.
People have said it was a perfect storm where we played badly. We were sloppy, lackadaisical, careless. Norwich played the system well. They played
all right. Yeah, I mean, Norwich were okay, but they didn't have to be very good, as I said. They just didn't have to be.
But without looking too much on the negative, look, we lost 6 games in 61 last season. Yeah. So I take that as a positive. Having said that, we didn't lose, or we didn't let this number of as many goals in so early. Losing Laporte we can see straight away, is going to be a big.
We've got what we've got now, haven't we? We've got the squad we've got. So we're going to have to stick with Stones and Otamendi, or Pep is going to have to put Fernandinho or Walker in there, and he's going to have to change what he's doing. But we'll know a lot on Wednesday, I think, when we play Shakhtar. Let's face it, Shakhtar will be up for this. They'll be up to, it won't be. It'll be a horrible game for us. I think, on Wednesday.
I think if we'd spanked Norwich, then Shakhtar wouldn't be as up for it as much, because they're thinking, look, we can get these. Apparently, Fernandinho's been practicing as a defender, centre back, for a few weeks.
But do you want to do it in a game like that? That's the thing. Do you want to risk it? I mean, I would stick with Stones and Otamendi, but it's the devil in the deep blue sea, isn't it?
Well, Eric Garcia's on the plane over. Foden isn't. So I don't know. I really don't know if you could trust either Stones or Otamendi to do a good job. See, I could see Eric Garcia playing in the Champions League with Aymeric Laporte against someone like Shakhtar, even away from
anyone with Laporte would be fine for me. Young lads, experienced lads. It's personally, as you say, but at the moment, it's going to be interesting to see if he has confidence in Stones and Otamendi, isn't it?
I think he has to because Eric Garcia is too young and inexperienced in an away game with partnering either one of them. Fernandinho, although it's against his old club, I think put him in for his first centre-back performance against him. Walker, who other people have mentioned, can't see that happening. That means you're going to start Cancelo in his first game. I don't see that. 3 at the back, I don't see that either. I mean, that might be one way to go, but I just don't see it.
No, I mean, they're scoring plenty of goals, Shakhtar, so we've got to be a bit wary, and I won't be surprised if they at least score 2 or 3. Whether we can score 3 or 4, I don't know.
Bernard.
I'm sorry. I can't. I think they'll score. I think they'll go down a couple of minutes, don't we? But I think they will score at least 1. I think they might get a couple.
I'll say 1. I'll accept 1, but not 2. I think you've got to give Otamendi and Stones a chance, because if you drop one of them now, what's it going to do?
I don't think you can fiddle with it too much. I don't. As you said, we've got the squad we've got. We've got players there who haven't played any games yet, and you can't just keep. He's not daft. He's gonna stick with the guys who are there, and I don't think he's going to see anything drastic apart from KDB starting the game. Obviously, as long as everybody's fit.
Yeah. Let's go moving on to the other scores. A lot of goals knocking about, apart from a couple of games where there's just one. But we got 4-0, a 5-2, some 3-1. So let's go to Liverpool first. Liverpool 3, Newcastle 1. The juggernaut, the Anfield red juggernaut, charges on.
Well, this is it. You see, Liverpool have started how they finished, haven't they? And they've actually carried on, and this is why I'm a little bit tentative at the moment, because we've certainly not started. We used to be winning games 1-0 and looking confident, and now we're just not starting that vein. And Liverpool, as you said, just unless they get an injury or 2 more than they've got to Alisson, which is they're doing well with Adrian back there, because I don't rate Adrian so much on a par with Alisson. But I'm sorry, they're just relentless at the moment.
Look,
confidence must be growing and growing.
When we won those 14 games on the bounce at the end of last season, I think we had, 4 1-0 wins in there? So we were capable of doing it, and with our backs against the wall. Liverpool, they've not looked brilliant, but they're pulling out the results. Teams are scared to play them. They haven't lost at Anfield since.
Well, that's it. They've still got the fear factor. I'm a bit worried City are going to start losing that fear factor, but Liverpool still have it.
I still think we're a good team. Just briefly going through some of the stuff. The cracking goal by Willem for them. There should have been a penalty for the foul on Matip.
Well, again, I did notice, obviously, that if you look at the Rodri one, I mean, that's comparable, isn't it, with that, really? They're both similar sort of thing.
It was a penalty. Peter Walton, the ex-ref, idiot. That was my one-word note, because he said it's a subjective decision. It was a foul. It was a penalty.
On the positive side, I think that was the only VAR thing of any note, I think, this weekend, really.
Another one. There will be another one. There was a...
right. I must have missed one.
But Mane scored a good first goal, and then Atsu for Newcastle. Now Newcastle are drawing 1-1. Yeah, they've got a lot of players running forward. Atsu's got the ball, and they've got 4 or 5 players going on this attack, on this counter attack against Liverpool. And Atsu's got 2 men around him. He turns around. He could pass it back to somebody, but no. He decides that he can take 2 men on. Loses the ball, they score again. Dubravka, he makes a mistake. I mean, it's like what are goalkeepers doing? They did it last season. Pickford was at it. Loads of them were at it, throwing the ball into their own net, helping Liverpool. And Dubravka does it as well. And then at the end, you got an excellent goal from Salah. But as you say, Liverpool.
I think Liverpool. I think they do have that fear factor for teams at Anfield, especially, even obviously away from home. And obviously, they're not playing. They're playing well. I think they're playing well. They look cracking up front as usual, and I think they'll carry on doing this. I can't see any change unless someone shows them up in a couple of games.
I think with Liverpool, I think they look like they can concede. Okay. Not as bad as City.
Not as stable at the back, as they were last season.
Not as stable as they were last season, but they're still banging the goals in.
Yeah, well, that's obvious as well. They've got Adrian in there. I mean, you take your best goalie, you take your regular goalie out, it's going to have an effect on you. So, it's obvious to me that defensively they're not as strong because they've got Adrian instead of Alisson in goal. Next
game, we've got Brighton 1 versus Burnley. They 1-1 against Burnley. And I looked at that and thought, I think Brighton have started the season brightly. And Burnley, as ever, resolute. I thought Burnley had a couple of good chances at the start. Then Brighton showed what they're made of under Potter, and lots of chances for Brighton. There was, I think, the VAR again didn't come into play when there's a push on Lawton, the Brighton player, in the box, and for me that was a penalty.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
And he didn't give it, but. There's a cracking goal from Hendry for Burnley. Do you see any of these teams being in trouble at the end of the season?
No, I think we saw, obviously, Brighton. As you said, we were quite impressed with them last week, weren't we? And I think they were very unlucky, actually, to draw that. I think they had the balance of play, and they just couldn't hang on at the end. And all credit to Burnley for keeping going. But I think they'll both be fine, Brighton and Burnley. I think they've got enough in the tank for both of them, really.
The dirty red scum. Sorry.
United going to the most boring game of the day from all everything I've heard and read and seen and the stats, etc. So, I mean it was just one of those games. When I think Leicester were a bit of a weight. Leicester were disappointing, really, to be honest with you. Even though it was quite an even game.
A lot of people thought Leicester could go there and get something from that game and turn United over, because people think they are the ones who can challenge the top 6, maybe even the top 4 this season under Rodgers. Compared to some of the penalties that weren't given, that was a top penalty.
Well, they didn't show it but from too many angles, did they? Because they didn't want to show how bad it was. But to me, as you said, it was a soft penalty. But once a penalty is given, nothing's going to happen. If a penalty is not given, nothing's going to happen. And if a penalty is given, nothing's going to happen. So you just have to go with the referee. VAR doesn't really matter anymore, does it, on penalties?
Sheffield United 0, Southampton 1. It's a disgusting tackle by Billy Sharp. I'll just say that to get sent off. That was so late. The VAR goal disallowed for Sheffield United for was it an offside? Great save from Shea Adams. And do you see that?
There's a handball thing, wasn't there, in that one?
There's a fellow called Ginepro.
Yeah.
He scored, and it showed the value of trying to stay on your feet.
Yeah,
because he was being manhandled, And if he'd gone down, the fellow would have got a yellow card. They'd have got a free kick outside the box. But he's struggled away, got free, and scored a very nice goal.
Yeah, I think Sheffield are realising, obviously, welcome back to the Premiership. And, at the end of the day, you may have more chances, but you've got to put that ball in. You've just got to get it in the goal. And I think they'll, one of the candidates for relegation, obviously, aren't they? I think they still will be. I think they got 5 points, have they, so far? But I think they're going to struggle with the teams that came up.
Spurs 4, Palace 0, all in the first half. Damage was done.
Son again, wasn't it? Son is absolutely on fire from what I could see on that game.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd take him tomorrow, wouldn't we? We could have Son. I mean, cracking player.
Yeah. Palace, I just said they're all over the place. Very poor defending. Wolves 2, Chelsea 5. Tammy Abrahams.
Well, we're seeing with Wolves. Wolves are struggling, aren't they? I mean, this Europa League business takes its toll on teams. And obviously, you've got last year you had the first season influence. Obviously, this is a second season sort of bounce thing where obviously a lot of teams struggle anyway. But add the Europa League into that little bag of mysteries there, and Wolves are struggling because Chelsea aren't too bad, are they, on the day? But they do they're entertaining anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, at the back. Tammy Abrahams scored a hat-trick, scored a great third goal. Scored a stunner with the first goal for Chelsea. It's interesting to know that, what did I read somewhere? That has Tammy Abrahams now, by mid-September, got as many goals as Marcus Rashford has in his best scoring season. Something like
that first goal, it reminded me of Yaya Toure-esque, wasn't it? That first one from distance in the Carabao Cup final, League Cup final, whichever it was. I thought Yaya Toure had come back with that one.
We roll on to Bournemouth 3, Everton 1. Everton, for me, spent a lot of money, flattering to deceive. The style of plays, Adonai
again, isn't it? With Everton are always the same every season. They seem to do it. I mean, we play. I do worry a bit because we're playing them away next, aren't we? After Watford, which is terrifying me actually. But they're just the same all the time. No matter what manager they've got, they seem to fall into the same.
Yeah. They just keep making poor decisions out of the back. And talking about poor defending, leads us on to Arsenal. Watford 2, Arsenal 2. Give what Arsenal, we said, look, they're poor defending, devastating in attack.
But the game was over at half time. Arsenal had that one at half. It was just so that they just had it won. I mean, they weren't great in the first half, but they just done what Arsenal do. They broke away, hit them on the break, and gone in at half time 2-0 unfairly. But at that stage, old Arsenal, you'd imagine, would go on to win that. But this isn't old Arsenal. This is Arsenal with David Luiz at the back. So
it's crazy. I mean, they let Watford back into the game, obviously, with that passing from that goal kick. It was atrocious. Really, they're going to stick with it, and they're going to keep getting found out. And then that foul by Luiz, the guy's chalk or cheese. And I think as he's getting older, he's going to be more cheese than chalk. And at the end, they were lucky not to lose that game because
Watford were unlucky. I mean, there was a chance right at the end in injury time that he hit wide. I think. I thought,
yeah. So look, I mean, to wrap this up, we're 5 points behind Liverpool. That juggernaut, they're not going to stop. Is the season over? Should we now be focusing on the?
I'm between I'm not the happy clappers who go, oh, remember this, remember that, remember the other. But I'm not the one sack Pep, sack the board, So I'm in between at the moment. I must admit, I'm not as confident as I was. But we're 5 games in. It's early days. Let's see how Liverpool go on in the next few. But I don't like this looking over my shoulder, seeing how Liverpool are doing. I hate it. I just want to watch City and hope City win. I don't like all this messing about with other teams.
Let's not worry about anybody else. Focus on us. Hey, as I said yesterday or today, if we win our remaining games this season, we'll be champions. That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
That's week 5 done and dusted with. Well, game tonight, but the Claret and Blue Derby. So I've got to thank Bernard once again. And we forgot to start giving a word from our sponsors, Bernard.
Yeah, it's movieGameNostalgia.com, and if you're into your old films, DVDs, posters, board games, go get on there. And if there's anything I haven't got, give us a shout. I'll tell you if I can get it, and if I can't get it, I'll tell you where to get it. So and I always try and compete with the big boys on prices. So give us a chance, if you're buying anything like that.
if I can't get it, I'll tell you where to go.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. I think it
Right,
worked
guys.
in Miracle on 34th Street, wasn't it? Where the Santa Claus used to send them over to another store if they didn't have it at Macy's.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brian. Bernard, sorry. Well,
Brian.
Combine
welcome,
the but we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
So thanks so much. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, Blue.